Look at this planet. In the next 8 minutes, 1,000 years will pass beneath us. Coastlines will move. Cities will learn to breathe. Entire industries will vanish. And the strangest change may be the one you almost cannot see. This is not a prophecy. It is a cinematic thought experiment built around 3 forces already shaping our world: climate, energy, and intelligence. There is no single future. So imagine that, at every crisis, humanity chooses the difficult path that preserves the most options for the people who come next. The clock starts now. Year 2026. From orbit, civilization looks permanent. At night, our cities burn like constellations. Satellites draw invisible lines around the planet. 8 billion lives depend on systems so enormous that no single person can understand all of them. But the future begins with a contradiction. We have never been more powerful, and the world supporting that power has never been under more pressure. Heat, water, soil, oceans, and biodiversity are not separate problems. They are one connected machine. Push one part, and the shock travels everywhere. The first 100 years will decide what the next 900 can become. Year 2050. The future does not arrive as a silver spaceship. It arrives as shade. Coastal cities raise roads, bury power lines, restore wetlands, and turn concrete into a material that stores less heat. Some neighborhoods are defended. Others move. The argument is no longer about whether the sea is changing, but about what deserves to remain where it was. The most successful cities stop treating nature as decoration. Mangroves become storm barriers. Parks become reservoirs. Buildings exchange energy with one another. Every roof is asked a question: can you cool, collect, grow, or generate? This era feels chaotic because old systems and new ones occupy the same streets. Gas stations stand beside charging lanes. Flood walls protect historic districts while new homes float beyond them. The transformation is uneven, expensive, and deeply human. Then comes the first surprise. Adaptation does not make every city look more futuristic. It makes each city look more like the place where it actually lives. Year 2100. Water is now an architect. The cities that survived stopped trying to force rivers into straight lines. Roads became canals. Parking structures became cisterns. Ground floors were designed to flood safely, then open again. New districts rose on higher land, connected by silent public transit. The century also redrew the map of value. Fresh water, fertile soil, and a stable local climate became more important than proximity to an old financial center. Some capitals grew. Others became museums surrounded by sea. People did not defeat climate change. They inherited it, managed it, and slowly stopped making it worse. Year 2150. For 2 centuries, humanity built upward. Now it begins to step back. Enormous areas of low-value road, warehouse, and suburb are open to forest, not abandoned by accident, but surrendered on purpose. Rivers return to their old paths. Wildlife corridors cross borders that once existed only for humans. This is not a return to a mythical, untouched nature. The new wilderness is watched by sensors, repaired by machines, and shaped by hard decisions about which species can live together in a changed climate. For the first time, some cities become smaller without becoming poorer. Their wealth is measured less by the land they consume and more by the knowledge, health, and time they create. Year 2250. Energy becomes almost invisible. Sunlight is collected across deserts, oceans, windows, and orbit. Heat stored under cities survives the winter. Electricity moves between continents with fewer losses. The age of digging up ancient carbon is remembered as a short, feverish chapter in human history. Abundant clean energy does not solve every problem. It can desalinate water, recycle metals, and pull carbon from the air. But it cannot manufacture an extinct species or rebuild a culture erased by displacement. So the central question changes. It is no longer, can we produce more? It is, what should power be allowed to change? Year 2350. The ocean begins to answer. After centuries of warming, acidification, extraction, and repair, huge marine reserves connect across the planet. Fishing becomes smaller, more precise, and mostly local. Reefs are restored with descendants selected to survive warmer water, while other ecosystems are left to evolve without constant intervention. Human settlements float above a living world that is more valuable than the land beneath any city. Sensors translate the migration of whales and the chemistry of plankton into a planetary pulse. The ocean is no longer treated as the empty space between countries. It becomes the largest country of all, governed for beings that will never vote. Year 2450. The line between city and landscape dissolves. Food grows in precise mosaics. Forests, wetlands, vertical farms, and fields tended by tiny, autonomous machines. Buildings move underground or into hills, not because the surface is uninhabitable, but because living systems need the sunlight more than people do. Humanity has not disappeared. It has become spatially modest. This is the second surprise. For most of history, progress meant leaving a bigger mark. Now the most advanced places are the hardest to notice. Year 2600. Civilization expands beyond the atmosphere, but Earth is not discarded. Orbital factories work with vacuum, sunlight, and materials brought from lifeless worlds. Observatories spread across the dark side of the moon. A small population lives away from Earth, connected by slow, fragile threads of trade and memory. From space, the planet is protected by a rule that took centuries to learn. Technology may grow, but the biosphere must not become its raw material. The old dream was to escape Earth. The new dream is to deserve it. Year 2800. Now search for a city. You can still find one, but you have to look beneath the forest canopy, inside mountains, and along transit lines thinner than rivers. The loud machinery of survival has faded into the background. Air, water, food, and energy are managed by systems designed to fail slowly and locally, never all at once. Artificial intelligence is everywhere, but almost never appears as a face. It is a quiet layer of coordination, predicting fires, balancing ecosystems, preserving languages, and explaining a 1,000-year archive to a child. And this may be the most alien future of all. Not a world covered in machines, but a world where the best machines learned when to disappear. Year 3026. 1,000 years after our starting point. Earth is not perfect. Storms still strike. Species still compete. Civilizations still disagree. History did not end. But from orbit, the planet looks wilder than it did in 2026. The lights are fewer. The forests are larger. Human power is greater, yet its footprint is smaller. That is the final surprise. The highest technology is not a city of chrome. It is a living planet that no longer looks engineered. None of this future is guaranteed. Every generation receives a world it did not choose, then makes choices for people it will never meet. We are the ancestors at the beginning of this timeline. So here's the question. If you could send one idea, one object, or one warning to the people of 3026, what would it be? Leave in the comments. Consider it our first message to the next 1,000 years.